Welcome back to my Humankind Beginner's Guide. Last time we talked about this, placing outposts, where to put them and what makes a good one. We also discussed things like tile yields, unit movement, and setting up a good game. In this episode, number 2 of my Beginner's Guide, I'm going to take you through the next steps. How do you found and build good cities that will carry you through the rest of the game? And what about the civics, ideology, science trees, and more? Stay tuned and let's begin. Now, let's talk about what we do with these outposts. How do we turn them into cities? At the moment, these territories have lines all through them. It's awful, because they're not cities. Your first city is basically free. So choose an outpost, maybe with the highest yields. You can see your yields up the top here. Or maybe it's for a strategic position. You want to be close to an enemy, or perhaps further away. That's up to you. I'm going to choose probably this one here. It's got much better yields. So let's jump in. Evolve this outpost into a city, and boom, you can see the city currently has 0 population, but it's growing 1 per turn, the maximum, thanks to my surplus food. The more populations I get, the more food I'll eat. You can also see my industry, how quickly I build things, my money, which I can use to buy trade routes or buy out buildings and districts and units, and science, how quickly I research my techs. In our new city, it's generally a good idea to pick up the infrastructure that provides me with more influence. First, that's the pottery workshop. However, you're also going to want to, of course, build some districts. Again, as a general rule of thumb, your emblematic district, the one that you get that's special to your culture, should probably be your first choice. In my case, it's the pyramids. They count as a maker's quarter, and they benefit from being built next to other maker's quarters. That's this default district that anyone can build. The pyramids are unique to me, and I can build 1 per territory. Not per city, but per territory. I'm going to smash that down, and in general, where the game recommends is a good idea. However, if it was right up against the ocean like this, I might want to think, hey, actually, I want to get some more spots around this later. So I'm going to move it away from there, where there's lots of land to build adjacent districts. Because of course, in Humankind, districts provide what's called an adjacency bonus to like districts. In this case, Maker's Quarters, you can see, provide +1 industry to other Maker's Quarters. So it can be a good idea to build like for like next to each other and save a bit of space around them. For example, once my pyramid is built, which also counts as a Maker's Quarter, I might want to build another one next to it, and indeed, the game is all over it. It's like, here's some forests. These are good for Maker's Quarters. Here's another Maker's Quarter on a hill. These are good for Maker's Quarters. Build it here. It's worth noting it's actually not quite factoring in all of the benefits of that pyramid yet because it hasn't been built. There are a few additional things you can do to grow your city a little bit faster. Units count as populations, so if you have some extra units, say you're spawned on an island and you can't swim yet, you might want to bring them within the boundaries of a city, select the unit, and then select disband. Watch what happens here to Memphis, which currently has 1 population able to work its districts, or additionally work its districts, I should say. In Humankind, you do not need 1 population per district. They're automatically worked. These are for our jobs, more in a minute. But anyway, disband this unit. Okay, now I have 2 populations in Memphis. What does that mean? Well, here they are. 1 food dude and 1 industry lady. Now, what I can choose to do is move them around and say, actually, you 2 industrialists, I want you making food. Or, you 2 foodies, I want science from you. In this case, I'm growing quite quickly, even without both people working food. But I can afford to keep 1 here. So I'm going to leave 1 person on food, and maybe put 1 on industry to build things faster, or science. You don't need to worry too much about min-maxing this. You can just leave it on balanced policy, and it will do a good job at filling jobs evenly for you. But it's an important thing to think about so that you can understand how Humankind actually works. And you can see it working as a very small example here. The Egyptian pyramid's going to take 4 turns. If I move people in and out of industry, I can speed that up or slow it down. With 2 citizens working industry, it can be done in 3 turns. With nobody on industry, however, it will take 5. Worthwhile to try and strike a balance, but in general, like I say, keep it on balanced policy. The other thing you're going to want to consider is stability. Stability at below 30% will be bad news for you. Do not let it drop below 30%. Your empire will rebel, your populations will turn into bad people, bad things happen. Keep it above 30% and ideally keep it above 90%. That will keep your empire settled and ensure that you're earning as much influence as possible. How do I keep them settled, you may ask? Well, most districts have a -10 stability penalty. So you cannot just infinitely span districts everywhere or your people will become unhappy. The way to improve your happiness or your stability is to connect luxury resources like these dies, for example, that will give me 4 stability per die, or potentially some other ways, like garrisoning, positioning units in a city, march them over and stand them there to keep it slightly more stable, or as you move through the game, you'll be able to build districts that will provide stability as well. At this stage in the video, I'd remind you that there are time cards throughout if you want to jump back to a section or forward to a section. And also I've got lots more content on the channel. If you're looking for something specific, I'd recommend you pop over there. Anyway, influence is used to build cities and outposts. It's also used to buy civics. 4X strategy game players may consider these to be akin to cultures in other games. If I show details, you can see that civics not only impact the axes of my society, from progress to liberty, right to left, or homeland to worldliness or individualism, and these will impact different yields and stability gains. I won't delve too much into that here. What you need to know is you spend your influence on these civics, and they have a specific effect, like a cultural policy would, providing you with more influence or faith or whatever it may be, and also twist the axis of your society, affecting overall yields slightly. If at any time you want to change your civics, you can jump into it by heading down here, going Show Civics. This will bring up the civics tree as you unlock them throughout the game. Also in this screen, the society screen, you can check your ideologies overall and see where your influence is coming from and going to. You can see that this territory is converting under my influence because I've founded it. If you have opponents nearby, their influence may spread into your boundaries. If your influence generation, the currency or yield that I have 15 of and I'm earning 26 of per turn, is lower than theirs. Keep it up, otherwise your people may get a little bit unhappy, unstable with you. They may force you to change your civics or potentially even rebel. The other tree down the bottom here to consider at the moment is the research tree. The more science you earn in your cities, the faster you'll research the technologies, and of course they will give you more things to build in your cities, more units, and more upgrades. I would recommend in general, as you're starting out, you might want to grab calendar and domestication. That will allow you to improve those luxury resources with resource exploiters with artisans quarter, and domestication will allow you to get horses, the first strategic. The second one is buried over here in copper, also a good pickup. All of these ones here, very good. You too, organized warfare. And finally, in this video, I really have saved the juiciest part until last, so thanks for making it through this far, if you did. Let's talk about what to do with outposts, influence, and cities. We're going to talk attaching cities and how to make the most of them. So, in an outpost, one that hasn't yet been turned into a city, you will have the option to convert it into a city. This doubles for every city you have. So it's 160, it'll keep doubling and become quite a lot of influence. You can also spend your influence to connect resources though. You would usually need to build this. Let me show you over here in Memphis, an established city. You can see I have dies, and what I need to do to connect these is select Artisan's Quarter and build it on top. That will connect the dies to my empire, and I'll be able to see their abilities up here in the top right. The other thing you can choose to do on an outpost that's yet to become a city is actually connect these resources with influence. You'll still build a district, you'll still connect the resource instantly, but you'll spend your influence instead. Take care though, because you won't be able to claim natural wonders, connect cities, or found new outposts if you spend all of your influence doing this, but it can be a quick way to get things online. The final thing that you might want to do with your city is potentially connect it to territories next door. So here in Al Nair, I've claimed this, but I don't think I'll ever turn it into a city. It's not overly fruitful, I'm probably not going to need that many cities, and it may not be of strategic importance, but I would like to bring its yields, its population, into the boundaries of another city. I choose Memphis, I click attach, I spend 30 influence, and now Memphis contains 2 territories within it, and 5 populations. You can see all of the stats around Memphis, including how many districts it has, its overall defense, and its number of populations under its city name here by clicking on it, and it's got a crown because it's my capital city. And that's how you connect cities. It's important to note that as you merge territories and outposts into cities, you will also take a stability penalty, okay? Something to bear in mind. You don't want that to fall too low. Another thing to consider is what it will do to the number of people and the amount of food that you require. You may need to redistribute some populations around to ensure that your people are fed and not starving and slowly losing population over time. And lastly, I would note that when you attach outposts to cities, unlike regular outposts which cannot have districts built around them, these ones that have been connected and now technically turned into administrative centers can now have districts built around them by their main city. Watch, I can now build an extra Egyptian pyramid on this administrative center, formerly outpost, because it's been connected to Memphis. A great way to get a lot more of your emblematic quarters, your unique districts built quickly before you move through eras and potentially lose the ability to build any more. Hey, that concludes this video. I hope this was a good introduction to Humankind. I have a lot more guides, not only in this playlist, but also on my channel, and I regularly stream Humankind as well. You can consider me a bit of a Humankind fan. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.